The week of August the 7th to the 13th is going to bring us in touch with some money and love surprises. The rising of the star Sirius in the visible sky, especially in the middle latitudes. We'll be talking about where you can see that star rise and what it might mean. And we're also going to bring into this story a little bit about that Venus Cazimi on the 13th, where love and money stories will definitely be resetting in the Leo part of your natal sky. When we do the all signs, we're going to really focus on that little jolt of money surprise and love surprise coming up midweek, and we'll do that for each of the rising signs. Listen for your rising sign, it'll be most accurate, and then listen for your sun and moon secondarily. Moon can be mom, home, body, sun can be dad, career, purpose, and that's why your rising sign is usually the best place to start. Secondly, if you're new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothian. I'm a whole sign house astrologer. I'm using the Western tropical zodiac. This is not Indian or sidereal astrology, also known as Vedic or Jyotish. Secondly, if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to check my description box. I'm going to be teaching my Sky Reader course again this fall. I teach it twice a year, and it's like 6 weeks this time, class on how to be your own astrologer, time your best life. You'll want to get on the wait list for that, early bird access, and there are a limited number of spots available each time. And also everything about me, Cosmic Moonshine newsletters down below. The one thing I'm promoting this month is the fact that I am a brand ambassador for the Aura app. I love sound baths. Meditation, guided meditations, hypnosis. You go to bed at night and you can't sleep and you pop that thing on, it calms you down. Or you finish your heavy work day and you can chill to some incredibly, really gifted people around the world who are actually supplying the content for Aura. So check it out. If you like it, it's a 7-day free trial. The link is in the description box for my affiliate link. All that means is that if you try it after 7 days and you want to continue, you're going to get 25% off the app subscription because you took my link and used my link. So think about that, give it a shot. Let's get going and talk about the week ahead. Now, first of all, this is an easy week. Let's just say the straight up easiest thing I can say. It's easy. There's some good things happening in the sky. It's not very difficult. I mean, and it's been like, we've had some really heavy stuff, and this is not that weak. This is a soft touch, all right? There's a lot of hoopla about the Dog Star Sirius because it's all about the Lionsgate portal. Ooh, on 888. That's New Age, guys. It's literally like numerology, right? August the 8th, Lionsgate energy. What is this whole hoopla about the Dog Star anyway? Because that's what Lionsgate is getting at. It's really not about 888. It's about the star Sirius, also known as the Dog Star, that rises into the visible sky, and it can happen as early as mid-June, like the solstice of June, all the way through to the end of August, early September, depending on the latitude upon which you are living. So in ancient Egypt, they considered that this was a star called the Nile star, and it was a harbinger of the flooding of the Nile River as the ice caps or the ice melted off the Ethiopian mountains and caused the Nile to flood. And that flooding was good for fertility and growth. Now there's an Aswan Dam there and the flooding is controlled. But back in the ancient days of Egypt, no, it wasn't controlled, and it was welcome flooding, and it was called the inundation. And it had a lot to do with fertility and a promise that the crops would be there and people would thrive and people would survive. So it's this whole Dog Star Sirius upon which the United States of America's sun is placed. The United States was born, so to speak, on the Sibley Declaration of Independence signing with the sun at around 13 Cancer, and the Dog Star sits at that degree. And the United States founders were Masons, and Masons were astrologers, and they knew what they were doing. So they took this very mystical, spiritual, deep, alchemical star that if it's in your natal sky and you're born with something at 13 Cancer, you could have some fame in this life and some pretty intense energies. But this star is rising. So if you live in Chicago, around August 12th, you can see the star, right? But it's different places in the world. So you can't just go, it's heliacal rise of Sirius this week. It's not. But the whole Lionsgate thing is kind of based on the old Egyptian story. So I'll give you examples. You just adjust for your latitude. But if you're in the northern latitudes, 20 degrees above the equator, you're going to see Sirius in the twilight morning hours beginning to rise, depending on your weather, become visible around July the 24th. I'm using data from John Meese. This is astronomical equations by a particularly an astronomer, not an astrologer. All right, so you'll see Sirius rising July 24th. If you're 20 degrees above the equator, if you're 41 degrees above the equator, that's August 12th. That's where Chicago is. And then the furthest way out is 60 degrees above the equator, and that's September 3rd. I don't know where 60 degrees. I'd always say Canada is the 49th parallel. That's the border between our countries, I believe, or something to do with that. I think 49th parallel is where Vancouver, Canada is. It's also where Edinburgh, Scotland is. So let's say Vancouver, Canada, Edinburgh, Scotland. We're not going to see the Dog Star rising until around August the 21st. Okay. So let's get that thing called the Lionsgate portal out of the way. We're not going to talk much about it. It's in the header of the video just because it'll be clickbait. But honestly, it's bullshit. It's not just new age woo, woo, woo. Moving forward. It's not astrological and it's not astronomical. Let's move into the next part of the story. The beginning of the week, I told you was an easy week, right? And why did I say that? Other than the fact that at the very start of the week, August 6th, 7th, 8th, around that time, you're going to see the sun forming a square to Jupiter. The sun is moving through Leo. It is Leo season. Jupiter, of course, is in the sign of Taurus. That is where Jupiter will be until May 24th next year, along with Uranus, adding a little shock and awe. So basically, Leo squaring Jupiter is something to do with leonine solar figures. The sun is at home in the sign of Leo. And Jupiter is also about leader and truth and law and justice, and probably in the news cycle, famous people, leonine figures, solar figures, leaders, solar figures, are going to come into the spotlight. We're going to hear some news stories breaking about difficult circumstances, maybe the long arm of the law, Jupiter, or things to do even with land grabs and wars. We'll get to the land grabs, but, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Trump and his difficulties or more. These kinds of stories can proliferate August 6th to the 7th. And in your own life, just watch, go head to head, with some kind of boss figure in which you have a conflict of will or conflict of agenda. That's quite often what it looks like. You'll have to know your own sky, what's your Leo real estate, what's your fourth house your Taurus real estate. So I'm Aquarius rising. I've got Jupiter expanding my property home and prosperity at home. I've got a solar figure in my seventh house causing tension. Could be my mate, my main partner, could be a client, could be someone in my audience, could be a moment of being trolled, August 6th to 7th, just using me as an example. But Jupiter is, earthbound in Taurus, and that's often about land, like property, land, and expansion. And then we have the idea here that the nodes have moved into Libra Aries, and Aries is a sign of the warrior, or war and conflict and fighting. And so there's possibly some stories happening August 6th, 7th, 8th about land grabs, things in the Ukraine, land situations, expanding territory, Taiwan, China, for all I know. Wait for that. It could happen. This is the first time we've had the node in Aries, right, for 18 and a half years. Well, this Jupiter square is happening to, of course, amplify the idea of expanding land. So land grabs, land expansion, land conquering stories may occur August 6th to the 8th in our collective narrative. Am I recording? I had a terrible thought I wasn't, but I am. Hallelujah. Moving forward, this is the fun part. I'm going to do all signs on. Venus will square Uranus August 7th, 8th, and 9th. Well, that's a good thing. I know people have squares are hard, but they make us declarative. They force us to make decisions and to take actions. Squares are the nature of Mars. And so they're not something awful to avoid. I mean, there's things that drive fiction narratives. Fiction stories move forward because of conflict between characters. It's like man against himself, man against the elements, or man against other, people against people. That's what drives good movies. That's what drives a story forward. So our life stories are moved forward through the mechanism of tension, and squares are one of the best ways to do it, because Mars is about drive, willpower, action, decisions, choices, momentum, movement. And these are what squares incite. So Venus, goddess of love, goddess of money, goddess of beauty, goddess of friendship, goddess of kindness and peace and bounty and luck even, is going to go into a relationship with Uranus that will force a decision or action or something to do with money, love, and other such stories that I mentioned. Uranus is moving with Jupiter through Taurus, has been in Taurus, by the way, since 2018. This is a longer transit that doesn't end until 2026. It will be once in your lifetime. And as Uranus has been moving through the Taurus part of your 12 pie slice real estate of your natal chart, This has been destabilizing your Taurus zone since 2018. For me, it's my fourth house. It's my home. For some of you, it'll be your second house, like Aries Rising. Your money stories have been up and down and all over the place. But this particular week, Venus squaring Uranus is very different than maybe every Venus square Uranus moment, because Venus is going to be going into the heart of the sun on the 13th. She's dying, guys. She's deeply invisible, combusts the rays of the sun. She has no protection here in the sign of Leo from those beams. When she's in the beams of the sun in Taurus or Libra, her home kingdom, she's unburnt, she's fine, she's protected, but not here. So we have a Venus that's getting ready to die in the heart of the sun on the 13th of August and come out to renew herself as the morning star about a week later. Therefore, this significant part of this is Venus is undercover. She's deeply embedded, deeply invisible to who we are. So it can be very subtle. And Uranus himself, he's big transpersonal, transgenerational outlying planet, but look for some ahas, maybe some insights, maybe some downloads, maybe some revelations. Uranus can be very much the aha, and it will have to do with love and money. So love and money, insights, breakthroughs, and revelations can happen here, August 7th, 8th, and 9th. And that can open you up in some possible way to some deepening and getting prepared to rebirth. The way you do love and money and other such stories in your Leo part of the sky. Yes, possibly Venus square Uranus can be outpictured as a sudden event that you could actually see, not just an insight. So a sudden unexpected money bounty, a breakthrough with a relationship. Venus is retrograde. So things from your past, she's invisible and retrograde until September 4th. She's retrograde until September 4th. She's probably invisible until about, I think, August 17th. Now, 18th, 19th, I'll have to look at the picture of the sky, but the idea is there, right? And here's the thing. If Venus is retrograde and she's going to do a little shock and awe around love and money, look for something from your past to show up as well. If it's going to be visible, it's like, oh my God, the money that was owed me from the past. Oh my God, that person from my past is showing, like love partner is showing up out of the blue. And you're like, oh, this is so shocking. This is so awe-inspiring, or this is so surprising. I mean, take your pick, And I'll need to make a choice or take some action square based on what is occurring. Yes, August, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Keeping on with the narrative of this week in review, and we'll be doing all signs. Mercury, and if you're in the live premiere, I'm not live premiering this, I'm testing this format in the month of August to see if I want to do it. It's coming out each Monday, and then if I do, then I'll get more down with premiering stuff. Okay, so I'm recording this on August 6th, just so you know, for release on August 7th. And also, we're moving forward. Mercury is kind of gliding through Virgo. That's his home territory. He's going to retrograde there in the third week of August into early September, but he's going to be here in this part of the sky to the first week of October. So we have Mercury in an elemental earth here. Check my video with Gary Caton out in my 2023 All Signs playlist for a dive into elemental earth here, Mercury. But he's going to be here for 2 whole months. I mean, that's a long stay, right? So having Mercury moving through his own sign, he's in his shadow territory already by the time we get to later this week, but he's gliding through his home sign in about August 7th to the 9th. He's going to end up in a trine to Jupiter. Trines are the nature of Jupiter. Jupiter is luck, bounty, prosperity, expansion, hope, faith, enthusiasm, wealth, children. And Jupiter represents these kinds of things. And Jupiter, Mr. Fairy God, Father, Santa Claus, is going to flow or be flowed to by Mercury and Virgo. So Jupiter and Taurus, Mercury and Virgo. Don't forget, a little shock and awe is going on already with Venus Uranus. This is good news. You can always code Mercury Jupiter as information, news, insights, communications, good. So good news is coming. It's maybe surprising because of Uranus with Jupiter, and that's happening. Good news, surprising news, August the 7th to the 9th. Now, let's talk about that Cazimi before we do all signs on the surprising element of Venus Uranus. The Cazimi on the 13th hasn't happened from a retrograde motion of Venus since the summer, August of 2015. Yes, there was a superior conjunction or direct motion Venus on the other side of our sun, connecting with the sun in August of 2019. This is a cycle that Venus does every 8 years retrogrades, the heart of the sun in Leo, every 4 years in direct motion, connects to the sun in Leo. So it's alternating retrograde, direct, retrograde, direct. If you want to go back in time, you might want to think about and this only began to occur in our world in 1987, August, for the first time Venus entered Leo after spending 100 plus years in Virgo Sun conjunctions. This is called Venus Star Point, and you'll want to check that out in my very, very longer video, very deep dive video that was just released on August the 6th, going through the Venus Cazimi, all signs. But let me just say one thing. This is a reset button. Venus is going to be born into her chutzpah, more ball-buster, go-getter, warrior vibe of a morning star. And over the next 4 years in each of our lives, there's going to be a new energy that we feel about love and money and our Leo part of our sky, one of 12 whole sign houses. If you go back to 2015, and you go back before that to 1999 summer, August, and 91, these were the other retrograde passes of the Sun-Venus conjunction, and see how those things reset. I've already said this in my other video, but a marriage and a relationship with a guru ended in the 2015 summer reset, and in the 9.5 months and 4 years that follow, it reflected that reset. So in 2007, a very toxic relationship came to an end as well during the summer reset of Venus and the Sun in my 7th house, because this is where it happens. I'm Aquarius Rising, 180 degrees away is my 7th house, the house of primary relationships, long-term committed love. All right, so I'm not going to repeat that video here. We're talking about instead the story of what happens when Venus and Uranus will come into a square for each of our signs. I'm going to show you the screen so my timestamper sister can make it easy on her, but also for those of you who are learning astrology, and many of my people here are learning and they love that I teach you things. I don't just tell you something that's going to happen. I tell you why it may happen. The last thing I want to say, I still get comments sometimes. And if I talk too fast, hit the slow down playback speed. Thank you. I get comments like, this didn't happen for me. It's nowhere near like what my life has been like. And I'm going to remind you guys, this is bell curve astrology. A bell curve, it's like this, right? There's a thing called outliers on a central tendency bell curve, a statistical curve of averages. Most people will find this material somewhat useful, especially if you're listening for your rising sign, because you're going to be in the middle or to the main part of that bell curve. But those of you who are on the outlying edges, yes, your chart is unique. It's just your sky. You may have a debilitated Venus besieged by malefics in the sign of her fall, Virgo. And this won't be what it seems that I'm going to tell you. This is where you need to see an astrologer or learn your own astrology. I cannot do a reading for you. I'm booked till April, but there is next year, there is a wait list for limited spots opening up in the fall, limited spots opening up in the winter that I will drip out because getting booked this far in advance is really disturbing to me. So I blocked spots off that are not available on my calendar. But if you want to see me for a live reading, then please get on the wait list. Wait list information is down below in my description box. Okay, let's go through the all signs. These weekly videos are meant to be short, fast, and fun. They're never longer, I hope, than 45 minutes. We'll see how I do today. All right, I'm just about to share the actual sky with you guys so you can see what it looks like on August the 7th. And don't forget, this is going to be a recording, this goes till the 13th, right? From August 7th to the 13th is what we're talking about today. So we're seeing Aries on the eastern horizon. That's the Aries rising, okay, or Aries sign over there. We're going to start with Aries, obviously, and move through the zodiac at a nice clip. There will be timestamps in the description box and in the comments when my sister timestamps it. And after the live premiere, if it goes live, then you have to wait an hour because the timestamps aren't synced yet. YouTube is still trying to figure it out. Okay, so let's get going and look at what's happening here. I really want to focus on Uranus square Venus. I'm not going to necessarily move the chart to show exactly that thing that's happening. Let me move to the 7th so you'll see that at least in the day that we begin this story. So here we have Venus for the all signs portion for Aries rising. Venus is in your house of romantic love. She is retrograding. She is making her way to the sun, where in a week from week's time, on the 13th, she'll be deeply, deeply reborn. But as she's getting into position here to become a morning star, she is going to square Uranus at 22 degrees of Taurus. Now, if you want me to take it back a bit, she's retrograding. I'll show you that picture just so you see it. There she is on August 8th, and there she is on August 9th, and there she is on August 10th. It's kind of waning there. So she's building. Sometimes it's called engagement. You're going to feel it really August 7th, 8th, 9th, even a bit on the 10th. That's square to Uranus from Venus in your romance house, your children, your entrepreneurial stuff, but money, luck as well, speculation, lottery wins. Could be for some Aries sun, moon, but most accurate, perhaps rising, a win, a financial win, an unexpected lucky break financially. If it doesn't show up in the real-time sky, in the real-time life, she is invisible. It could indicate a lucky break that's going to be coming through later on when she becomes visible a week later, kind of a delayed reaction, but it also may be an insight. You may have a download, an insight, aha, some kind of eureka about something you want to do in your entrepreneurial or creative fifth house. Or sudden shocking news that you or your partner is pregnant. Venus is a fertility transit in June through October. For everyone who's an Aries sun, moon, and rising, get ready to get that pregnancy test out. You might be pregnant or your partner might be pregnant. Yeah, people who can have children, called usually females. And basically, the way this energy is working, this sky is going to delight you with something. I mean, we've got Jupiter kind of hanging out in Venus's house in the second, right? He's like, all good, Venus, on the job. What do you need me to do? And she says, how about a shock and awe around money luck, romantic luck, children luck, entrepreneurial luck? If you are looking at the retrograde, it could also be that shocking hearing from somebody that you were romantically involved with in your past and being really surprised. Like, oh my God, this is a shock. I can't believe this person is in touch with me. I can only think of one person in my Aries sun and moon life, I have an Aries sun and moon, that could shock me because I've blocked them from almost all social media. From them to find me at this point would be a surprise. And because the second house is a money house and the fifth house is a money house, again, insights, downloads, ahas, eurekas, learning something, some wisdom and knowledge coming to you. This little asteroid here is Minerva. She's with Uranus. What is the insight that could come through something you learn, through a book you read, through some information you acquire, to declare an improvement in your money, in your entrepreneurial life, in your children, and in your romantic life as well. And now we're going to move ahead and talk about Taurus. All right, so if you're a Taurus sun, moon, or rising sign, what we have happening in the sky is we have this a bit of surprise, shock and awe, let's say the 7th to the 10th even of the month of August around your Venus in a retrograde motion and invisible in the sky, as I mentioned in my intro, squaring Uranus, okay? Venus in Leo squaring Uranus. You can see the fourth house down at the bottom for your whole sign house system for you Taurus people is real estate, property, and land. The things you're doing in your home and domestic and private life, things you're doing when you're alone at home, your privacy. And Venus here could mean a woman from the past is visiting you, she's retrograde, or that you're going back and revising some decorations or redesigning your home. Those are very practical Venus retrograde ideas in the fourth house, but she is getting ready to be reborn at the end of the week. Remember, we listened to the intro. So you're trying to have a big rebirth and reset here in your money, in your home life, in your property, and where you live. Maybe in the relationship to your mother or your family of origin or your childhood. And as Venus is in that square to Uranus during this part of the week, you may have some unexpected downloads, insights, and ahas, particularly with Uranus in the house of you. This can bring you a great deal of rebel, freedom-loving, iconoclastic energy that you've been experiencing Taurus for quite a long time, since 2018. And with that information, Minerva goddess, I mean, Minerva can be like being strategic as well, just like Athena. She's the same goddess by a different name. So maybe some strategic insight downloads around things to do with property and land and real estate and luck, because Jupiter in the house of you makes this shit lucky as all hell. And you do have an exalted moon in Taurus on the 7th, and on the 8th, which is amazing. So you are on fire. If you are a Taurus sun, moon, or rising, especially rising, capitalize on what looks like a very successful, lucky energy going through your sky, August 7th, 8th, and into the 9th, 7th and 8th in particular, because you'll still have that Taurus moon in play. So it's like super powered, super juicy, exalted moon, Jupiter in the house of you, wisdom and knowledge, aha downloads, insights. And Uranus brings change. So change of home, someone makes an offer on your property, you see a killer idea to do with property or real estate or land. You definitely can make money here through something you're doing in your home or from your home, and also something you may do with your home, such as sell it, okay? Or a property that you own, whether it's your home or not. All right, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising especially, most accurate. Venus will square Uranus around the 7th to the 10th of August. This is happening for you in your Venus is in your third house. This is where your siblings and cousins are. This is where trips and travel, short distances can be. Your online platforms and world, your website, your writing projects. This is also the place that happens to connect to short distance travel. Did I say that? And skills-based learning. Many, many meanings. Sometimes it's your daily life and what you do. And it's your neighborhood and your neighbors. And that's a lot of stuff. When Venus is retrograding, you could hear from cousins you haven't seen, from old siblings regroup with you. You may travel to a place you've been before, and I am on a journey I am traveling as I record as a progressed sun in Gemini to my hometown I grew up in, where my sister lives. That's so classic, Venus retrograde in the third house of siblings. So Venus is invisible, but she could bring you an insight, a download, an aha. That is also connecting to something you've done in the past, a writing project from the past, a relationship with a sibling or cousin from the past, from a journey that you're taking, an insight on a trip as you travel to a place you've been before. All right, 7th to the 10th of the month. I'll be traveling then. I'm a progressed Gemini sun. It's interesting because Jupiter is with the exalted moon and Uranus and the goddess of knowledge and wisdom in the 12th house. This is very spiritual. This can be a spiritual breakthrough, an amazing dream at night, some kind of insight coming from your subconscious, unconscious mind. But because the 12th house is revenue accrued from foreigners and foreign shores, and the third house is the online world itself, there could be a sudden burst of money breaking through the online platforms if you are someone like me doing that kind of work. Lastly, sexual bed pleasures can be the 12th house. Jupiter's expanding them, the moon is exalting them, and Uranus is giving you some incredible Kundalini activation. So some of you may have some Kundalini super active bed pleasure energy going on August 7th through the 10th. Looking forward to seeing if that happens to me. I'll let you know. All right, Cancer, you guys are the one in which the dog star is sitting right there. Aha. This is August the 8th, 888 Lionsgate, and they're Sirius at 14 degrees of Cancer. So you can see that he's sitting right there. The Nile River is not going to flood you by any means, but you are definitely experiencing this energy of the dog star in your identity, all of your life. You will never not feel it. It will always be ever present for you. And of course, the dog star will be rising if you live in Chicago on August 12th. Remember, it depends on where you live. Heliacal rise is simply that the star is rising before the sun. You see, the sun is moving this way and it's going to rise right above the horizon, this 0 degree mark of Cancer in this chart. And so it's like the herald of the sun. Here comes the sun, or something like that, is what the rising of a planet is, or a star. So long story short, you are experiencing this energy of, the Syrian energy rising, depending on your zodiacal your latitude of where you live. So you Cancers get a lot of mojo sometime between, like, let's say July and September, depending on your latitude. And if you lived in the deep south, like down by Australia, I think you could see the dog star rising in June, right? June 21st even. So there's a whole range of time. So this is kind of always an empowering time for you Cancer risings. And this week can be especially powerful, especially if you live near the Chicago latitude. But here we have Venus resetting a button for you, resetting your money and love as she's getting ready to die and be born again in the heart of the sun. And it's all about money for you. That rebirth on August 13th. You guys definitely want to look at my longer video. You get to reset your money and love stories, but money particularly every 4 years in the Leo part of your sky. So it's the ongoing story for you since 1987. See, this is also your face, and so Venus here retrograding. Don't do plastic surgery, please, during a retrograde Venus, or invisible Venus, even worse. But generally speaking, it may be going back to an old hair color, a facial style, going back to your old dentist, going back to something you've done before. She's retrograding in your second house, going back to an old earning style that you had abandoned, like an old job or an old way of making money. Those are all possibilities during this kind of a sky. And as she's going to come in on the 7th through to the 10th kind of thing into that square to Jupiter, and you have a bit of like surprise coming through. The pennies from heaven, 11th house. This speaks to me of a potential windfall. Some of you will have a windfall coming through your sky, the 7th to the 10th, literally, or big financial favors or bonuses from friends, allies, and benefactors who act like older siblings, who are older siblings, 11th house energy. You may need to take direct and immediate action on this financial goodness. All said and done, though, great gains from your career, including financial gains, are coming through the 11th house, and you may have a sudden poop, pop, yay, of an idea or even an opportunity to expand your earnings around the 7th to the 10th of the month. Look for that to happen. Leo, Leo, Leo. Sun, moon, and rising. This invisible Venus is getting ready to be born again in your first house, but as she moves that way, and watch my all signs Cazimi for details, as she moves that way backwards into the heart of the sun, she is also going to, on the 7th to the 10th of August, square Uranus. Uranus is with Jupiter, making things very blessed. Jupiter's trying to please Venus. He's in Taurus, her house. Sudden surprises and developments and outpicturing of money. Did I say money? Of self-worth and self-value as it connects to your career and reputation. So you may be feeling like you wanted to pull back, go quiet, go undercover, a little low key, deeply assess what you value, what you desire in life. That's Venus retrograding in the house of you. But at the same time, you're doing this inner work or this deeper insight into yourself. Along comes a surprise opportunity or development in your career space. Now, bosses can be Jupiter in the 10th. And if you're employed, then a boss may surprise you with a bonus, a raise, a promotion, or something good. And if it doesn't outpicture, it could also be, because it's invisible Venus, it could be a download insight you have that really can increase your success in your career as this download or insight arrives on your mental doorstep. Alrighty, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, Virgo, Venus is moving through your 12th house to enter the heart of the sun and reset you on bed pleasures, addictions, self-undoing, and bad habits. Also, maybe to awaken the deeper connection to the divine feminine and your soulful yearning for God and Goddess to wake you the heck up. It's also foreign lands. So often a Venus retrograde means you're traveling to a foreign country maybe that you've been to before, or hearing from foreigners that you've known before. As Venus is retrograding into the heart of the sun, she will be, before that, August 7th to the 10th, encountering a square to Uranus. With Jupiter up in the 9th house with Uranus holding fort, this can be a positive surprise, but you may need to take decisive action or make decisions around it. A sudden change in a foreign land travel plans, a sudden new opportunity to travel to another country, another sudden opportunity to travel, a sudden unexpected acceptance at a university that you weren't thinking was going to say yes. You're on a wait list or something. An unexpected court decision on your behalf. But again, you'll need to take decisive action. Unexpected offer to publish a book. An agent, a publishing house says yes. And an unexpected positive development in a third marriage, which is your 9th house. So look for that, because exalted moon up here with that Jupiter and knowledge and wisdom goddess Minerva suggests a very strong sense of development for people who are looking for positive academic, court, or publications developments to unfold. But yeah, for some of you, it could be your travel plans to provide to go abroad, if you have any, could have a sudden change of direction, but it's going to feel very positive. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign in your sky. This is going to look like Venus, the lord of your sky. She's your person, just as Taurus has got Venus as their person. So Venus, your person, is in retrograde in your house of friends and allies, and also larger groups of belonging. You may have gone back and joined a group of, society of armchair philosophers or astrologers or whatever, or some kind of community, or people from your past, friends from the past, social group members from the past have been showing up as Venus retrogrades here all the way through to September the 4th. But as she gets ready to reset herself in the heart of the sun, resetting your social life and your career and success from financial career successes, she's going to square Uranus in the 8th house of chunky money. 8th house chunky money is like inheritances. 8th house chunky money is spousal money taking off. 8th house is like a stock investment soaring. 8th house chunky money is a tax rebate or insurance payout or something like that. But there's a surprise here. It's not money that you own yourself. You share it. It's a resource that is shared with another or others, like the bank. And like a credit card debt is paid down suddenly or whatever, or your credit card company forgives the debt or something like that. So you have this like yay moment around money that's chunky, 7th to the 10th of this month. But I would also remind you, Venus is invisible. I'm not sure you will see the fullness of what this could be until maybe around, I'd say at least the 21st of the month. You know, we got to get Venus outside the other side of the sun. I'll do a whole video on her heliacal rise from the underneath the beams of the sun kind of vibe. But in the meantime, just think about it this way. You're having some kind of money upgrade here. 8th house, 11th house, both involve money. Raises, promotions can happen, as well as I said, bonus monies, commission monies, severance package monies, money that your spouse suddenly shows up with and hands over to you on the 7th to the 10th of the month. Scorpio rising, sun, moon, and rising sign. I'm going to lose battery power. I need to charge this baby up. Let me get you done and then I'll do that. It looks like we could have a Venus, square Uranus on the 7th to the 10th in your career house, Venus, and your 7th house of business partnerships, marriage, and legal contracts, vows, as well as clients and audiences. If you work with clients and customers, this can be a very exciting development, powerful, lunar figure here, like a exalted moon, Jupiter, knowledge and wisdom, Uranus type of customer or client arrives in the story to boost your success professionally in your career ambition space. So Scorpios get an up level here. And if you are at all somebody who is looking for a raise, promotion, better job, Venus up here is trying to bring it to you, but maybe from colleagues and coworkers from your past. Maybe you have to go back to go forward, or some job offer from the past returns to you. This is maybe a bit of surprise around this stuff, and you have to make a very radical and quick decision about what you're going to do about it, but you're going to have some kind of surprising developments, ultimately positive, around your work. But your main squeeze, your romantic partner, can be indicated here in the 7th house, or you may all of a sudden fall in love with an office romantic person. I mean, you get involved in an office romance, or they tell you that they're totally into you and you didn't know. Those kind of vibe out here too, August 7th to the 10th. But your partner is going to maybe be the one with the bounty and the exalted moon and the sudden financial surprise. That's not even about you. And you get to participate in that as a glow up in some positive way to how you pursue your own ambitions and your own success in life. Now I'm going to stop the share while I go get a charger cord. If you're new to my channel, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, please. It really helps me grow. If you don't like the channel after you subscribe, you can quit, and all of that. So let's get going. We're going to do the next sign, which is Sagittarius, but I think I'm needing to charge my laptop. So give me 5 seconds and I'll be right back. I had to run downstairs to get an extension cord. I'm visiting my sister in Canada, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to get there before this thing goes dead. All right, I'm back. I hate trying to cut and paste, guys, and splice stuff together. All right, back to the story. Here we go. And here we are. Yay, yes. All right, so here we have, I finished with Scorpio, and we're moving into the next sign, which is the Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign people in the sky. What's going on is you're going to experience Venus doing her reset Cazimi in your 9th house of God, and third marriages and academics and meaning of your life, and many, many meanings. And as she's sitting up here, she's going to be squaring Uranus between the 7th and the 10th of August or so. And this is going to be an unexpected but positive, I do believe, with Jupiter here, exalted moon, surprise to do with your work situation. Now, this is like, 6th house can be a lot of things. It's a service in the world. It's your work situation. It's your debt, karmic and real. It's pets. It's things to do with your rental situations and like property rentals. And also colleague, co-worker's job. So there's all this energy of some kind of brewing positive surprise, Uranus, exalted moon, Jupiter, Minerva. You get some knowledge or information here about it, something in the work situation or health situation. And yet it's also activating Venus in your 9th house. Now, if you're at all involved in academics or book publishing or foreign lands in any way, and the word international, this is going to be some positive developments in that area of your life, the 9th house, that can really outpicture as some positive developments with your health, work, and foreign lands, travel, academic environments, and court cases and stuff. It's really hard to parse this one sometimes because the 9th and the 6th house are metacosmos, between the worlds, beyond this world types of houses. Sometimes they're very spiritual. The karmic debt 6-12 axis of karma, of magic, of really deep, stuff and difficulty, right? The gates of Hades is what the 6th house was called. Eek! You might find yourself, this is a place where things can be difficult. Jupiter's trying to straighten out your 6th house problems that can help you get rid of addictions, but also help you get rid of work situations you don't like and expand into things that are great. So an unexpected work situation or unexpected debt situation can work on your behalf, especially if it involves legal matters in courts, visas or passports, or books and book publishing. If you have a third marriage, you're in your third long-term committed love, even if you're not legally married, you're living together, you're common law, then this is a surprise that's coming in that part of your life as well. But lastly, Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity and wealth, is the 9th house. She's like kind of that, in India astrology, that's what she covers. So you kind of got like a Lakshmi vibe, and maybe, spiritual philosophy as well from your past, some way you used to see the world through the lens of a belief in God, or you could be opening up a new doorway here, especially with the Cazimi on the 13th. So listen to that video to know more about that. Lastly, foreigners from the past may be returning in unexpected and surprising ways, August 7th to the 10th. All right, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. It's hot in here. I'm in a very hot room. Capricorn, recording for you on a Sunday. Whew. All right, Capricorn, sun, moon, but most accurate rising. What happens is Venus is going to be resetting herself in your chunky money house, stock investments, shared resources with a partner, tax monies, whatever. You're going to have a money reset here. That's going to take you about 9.5 months, starting on August 13th, to see what it really means. Watch my Cazimi video. It really will give you the deets. But before that happens, Venus invisible in the 8th house can be secret love affairs. I just got to let you know that. And she's been invisible here now since the 22nd of July through to September the 4th. So be careful with this. If you're engaged in like a secret love affair, or you might be wondering if your partner's faithful. I don't know. I'm not planting seeds, but this is kind of what happens when Venus is in the 8th. Now, retrograde can be old love affairs that were secret from your past coming out of the woodwork, but also lost money, forgotten money, hidden money coming back to you. And look for that possibility, over the course of the next, 9 months. But it's this weak, surprising element can bring some money luck. I mean, Jupiter with an exalted moon in Uranus is in the house of speculation, of stock investment speculation, a casino win, a lottery ticket. Surely, if anybody should be playing a lottery ticket between August 7th to the 10th, it's you guys. Even Venus invisible doesn't bother me in this one. Honestly, she's already in an invisible house, relatively speaking, to your Cap ascendant. So you may find that there is some potential for winning money during August 7th to the 10th. Now, your children belong to the 5th house. Jupiter could make your children pregnant, or if you're wanting to have a baby, this could also be that. But with Venus in the 8th house, it may not be wanted. So say you or your partner gets pregnant and it's a shocking surprise, especially with an exalted moon. It may be you have to really deal with the deeper layers of that psychological impact, Venus in the 8th house. But if you have grown children and Jupiter is moving through the 8th house through the 3rd week of May next year, and you're not at the childbearing age, there could be grandbabies on the way, especially with Mercury in the house of grandchildren, the 9th house, in a trine to Jupiter. So you may hear from a child that there is a baby on the way in the month of August. And what else? I kind of want to say that with this exalted energy of a moon here, if you're an artist, a creative, a musician, a writer, or anything like that, you could have a really big breakthrough, almost like you're channeling the muse, especially with Venus in the 8th house, going deep into the archetypal realms, the nether dimensions, and hearing the voices of the dead woman from the past telling you what to write. All kinds of weird stuff in the occult mysteries of the 8th house could occur to incite a creative charade and an intense activation of your muse. This is very inspiring for those of you who wish to write with Minerva, the sort of like parchment scrolls and books, just like Athena in your 5th house. Could get a huge download here. Moving forward into the next story. As Aquarius rising, one of you, let's get going. Sun and moon, let's talk about what we got going on here. So Venus is doing her ever since 1987, retrograde through our 7th house. In the beginning, I told you when to look back for those other dates. And often it means a reset in the money stories, but this is truly for most of you, the love story. Venus is retrograding. The love that you share with someone already existing before, say, June the 5th can deepen during the retrograde, July the 25th to September 4th. If you're in a new relationship that began after June the 5th, it may be pulling back now. But retrograding Venus is not something to be afraid of. She's invisible, yes, as she gets into the heart of the sun, but she's trying to go into the deeper layers of reality with us, with you. She's close to Earth. She's impacting you and your significant love partner, client, or business partner. She squares Uranus in your 4th house. Your 4th house is the house of your private domestic life, property, home, real estate, where you live, and home and homeland. And the square can bring some surprising property development news information. Like, I hope not for me. I just renewed a lease or extended a lease with the owner from Switzerland. The last thing I want to do is have some change of direction. But on the other hand, Jupiter is luck and opportunity and wealth and expansion in the home house for us Aquarius is until the 3rd week of May next year. Exalted moon Uranus is exciting, and Minerva, well, so how about a little bit of knowledge and wisdom here, and inner knowing and understanding. So I don't know that this is, even if there's an unexpected real estate property surprise, that it's going to be destabilizing. It might be quite delightful or exhilarating. Could be news from your business partner, maybe squeeze partner, about property, land, and real estate, or something about their lives that open up some expansion in your life in the domestic environment with them. Right. And 4th house is your childhood, your mother sometimes, things to do with your ancestral line sometimes, and there may be some unexpected surprises or information coming. And if it involves anything legal in particular, because legal vows and contracts can be the 7th house, and an old vow, old contract, old legal agreement from the past suddenly returning to do with property, you discover the deed to a house that your family owned that you didn't know. That's the kind of thing that this could look like, all right? Or an old policy of something to do with real estate, an old insurance payout that was never claimed, and you get to use that money now as it surfaces from the mists of the past. Lastly, lovers from the past, significant other relationships from the past, maybe coming out of the woodwork, and that may surprise you. You may have a shocking, oh my God, I can't believe I heard from so-and-so. But if it's the 4th house, it could also be connected to someone you were involved with in your childhood, somebody you were involved with when you were very young, or someone who you were involved with who lives close to where you currently live. And you may be hearing from them out of the blue, August 7th to the 10th, a little surprise. And first, but always first, best and always best is the Pisces of the world. You Pisceans are experiencing the movement here of Venus into the heart of the sun as she gets reborn in your house of debt, karmic and otherwise, pets, contracts for rentals and leases, and health and work. Health and work stories have been resetting in your chart since 1987 in this part of your sky. This particular reset is going to be preceded August 7th to the 10th by Venus going into a square to Jupiter. Please listen to my Cazimi video for more on your sign on the deeper dive into this. But the square to Jupiter in the 3rd house of travel, siblings and cousins, skills-based learning, writing. Now, because if you were into writing, like you're a writer, for example, this exalted moon and her joy here with Uranus gives you the biggest supreme download of a great writing idea of a century, especially with Athena and Jupiter here, or Minerva. So, and then it applies itself to 6th house matters, so it could really work in your behalf. A writing idea that can pay off a debt, a writing idea that can help you align with work as service, that kind of thing. Coworkers, colleagues, maybe even particularly females from the past may be surfacing out of the blue, and you hear from them and you're like, oh my God, especially office or colleague romance partners may suddenly get in touch with you August the 7th to the 10th from the past, that is, and there'll be some surprise information delivered to you, maybe by email, maybe by the internet, maybe by text, because that's very 3rd house energy, especially with Mercury in the 7th. It reinforces like what kind of surprising but positive news from a former relationship, particularly if it involved work, okay, or was very karmatic, is coming back to you now, August 7th to the 10th. Expect to hear from some female you dated, for example, in the past, or a person, not always female. Venus doesn't have to be female. Or you just hear back from a colleague from the past, office space, coworker space, colleague, employee employer relationship type person. Travel is the third house, unexpected opportunities to travel for work from the past coming back to the present, giving you a chance to travel, information from a sibling coming to you that's going to allow you to travel, or you need to travel because of information from a sibling. Shock and awe can be here, but we have trine energy, so it's positive. You're not rattled at all. You're kind of excited by this. So look forward to those possibilities. If you want to learn something, Jupiter will try to get you guys by the third week of May next year to learn something. Jupiter in Taurus is study and learning. And what does he want you to learn? I have no idea, but something will be learned here. And you may educate yourself, you may take a class, a course, get a license. Practical learning is likely for a lot of Pisces by the end of next May. If you have an online business, by the way, Jupiter's expanding your growth here. Wow, did he ever kick ass when he was in my third house last year into halfway through this year of 2023, well, until May. So you can have a real big expansion in your prosperity if you work online. And this could be the beginning of some new prosperous developments in the work through the online world for some of you Pisces rising, sun and moon people. Thank you for listening and being a part of my world. This is a new experiment. I'm just piloting in August the idea of this kind of weekly update with all signs. If you like this kind of thing, please let me know by hitting that like button and subscribing, and check out my newsletter too, because you'll get content there that you're not getting even here, as well as perks and discounts and all kinds of things, early access notice, a bunch of perks just by being on Cosmic Moonshine, a swig of weekly astrology news every weekend in your inbox. Mwah. Guys, I'm going out. I'm going to do a hike in a park with a bog on a hot, sunny August the 6th in Canada. Take care all, and I will see you in my next video, which may be the deeper dive into the Venus Cazimi as I address some of the things that may occur for the collective, not just for the all signs. Big hugs all. Have a wonderful week ahead.